Hello, hello. We're back. We are back. Let me just make sure everything's working. Beautiful. Everything's working. This is tremendous. This is tremendous. Welcome back to another episode of Ekasala Unfiltered. This is Ekasala Unfiltered number 11. We're back, and today we're back with not gaming today. Well, they'll be gaming later after this stream. But we're back to movies for now for a couple hours. Uh, Thank you for popping in. Um, for those of you who don't know, if you've been watching my gaming stuff, I also do movie and media and all sorts of other types of analysis on this channel, which is what the initial purpose of the channel was. So pretty cool, I think. And today we have a couple of topics that we're going to be talking about. The main one, though, being Busboys. Right here, as you can see on the screen, Busboys. This is a movie that I'm very, very, very excited about. Excited to see. Uh, it's a self-funded independent film by David Spade and Theo Vaughn. You might know David Spade from classics like Grown Ups, Joe Dirt, Tommy Boy, the Benchwarmers. If anyone's seen that, I love the Benchwarmers. I feel like it's kind of like a cult classic at this point. Uh, and you might know Theo Vaughn as, he's a comedian, stand-up comedian from Louisiana. He's very country. He's got the mullet going on. He's also gotten pretty famous now because of his podcast, This Past Weekend with Theo Vaughn. If you've seen that, it's pretty entertaining. He just did one with Matt McCusker recently that I found pretty good. Uh, Again, I see we got a viewer in Twitch. Hello there, thank you and thank you for tuning in. If you're one of my followers who followed me on the gaming streams, I also do movie and media analysis stuff, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be hopping back on some games, so definitely stick around for that. Or come back later for that, either or. Uh, but anyways, I think this movie is very special. Obviously, it hasn't come out yet. It comes out I think, on April 17th, so in a little less than a week, 5 days from now. Wow, it's kind of crazy. But this movie is special because it isn't a big studio movie. It's also a comedy, like a traditional sort of classic 2000s comedy style film, which we haven't gotten in a very long time. And it's self-funded, which is pretty crazy. It's only got a budget of around $3 million, which is super, super cheap for a comedy movie. Any film, really, but definitely comedies. Most comedies are like in the 40s and 50 million, which is still kind of cheap, crazy enough by Hollywood measures nowadays, where they're spending 500, 600 million dollars on a single movie, let alone a franchise. This movie is only $3 million, and David Spade is a pretty big name, to be honest, in comedy especially, to be in a $3 million film. I'm pretty sure he also co-wrote it alongside Theo Vaughn, which is pretty cool, and he also helped Theo Vaughn with the self-financing. Sorry, a little out of breath. Anywho, I guess we'll dive into here. The structure for today is we're gonna dive into some of the, since it hasn't come out yet, I can't obviously do a breakdown on it, but we're gonna talk a little bit about what it's about, what it means, and I have some comps to talk about to compare it to, and what it means for the broader comedy. How do you call it? Spectrum, I guess, of films that we've been seeing in the 2020s in the last few years, which I think have been pretty bad. So the film is centered around David and Theo. They don't have names yet that I could find. I couldn't find their name in the trailer or in any other media. It's centered around David and Theo, and when David loses his girlfriend to a waiter, all hope is lost until he determines that waiters are at the top of the food chain financially, and because they're very cool, according to him, and that if him and Theo get jobs as busboys, they can become waiters, and David can get his girlfriend back. So it's a pretty simple premise, a fun premise. It's very, kind of raunchy comedy. again, 2000s, like Hangover style. Uh, Back when comedy was actually funny and a little bit edgy and are willing to take risks. So I'm really excited for the film. Even if it is bad, it'll be refreshing to watch like a a movie that feels like it came from a different time where people were allowed to be funny and not have to worry about the consequences of making some jokes that not everyone might like. You know what I mean? Uh, and we haven't gotten a film like this since like the Hangover movies. I feel like I can't remember the last time I watched a comedy. First of all, I can't remember the last time I watched a real comedy in the theaters that wasn't an action movie trying to just be funny occasionally. Does anyone else out there remember a movie that came out recently that's a comedy that was like a true comedy that wasn't an action film or something of the like? I can't personally. If there is, let me know and I'll check it out. Uh, but all this to say, I feel like comedies now, and especially in this comedy, really, a phrase that can sum it up is that, and this is a classic saying to be honest. If something is made for everyone, then it's not. Then it's made for no one, which is a phrase that's pretty. I feel like that's a pretty common phrase, but a lot of people forget that, and I think the big studios definitely forget that. They try to. I think that studios now are trying super hard to like totally analyze every demographic, use all their charts, probably using AI now. I mean, everyone's using AI, so I wouldn't put it past them to use AI for this kind of thing either. To find, to calculate every formula, every decision for every joke, every script, to try to attach itself to the broadest audience possible to make the most amount of money. They don't care. It's not about which audience might like this or which director or which writer can tell this good story. It's about how many how many eyes that they can get to make a quick buck is what I've noticed personally. And you can see that in like Marvel movies. Marvel movies now, I mean, they like Avengers 2012 was great. That was a great film. The Iron Man movies, the first one was spectacular. Three wasn't great. I can't remember two super well, to be quite honest with you. Uh, but Marvel's in the slop. They're running the slop mobile over at Marvel. Every Marvel film is like the same movie over and over again now. After phase three, after I'd argue after Infinity War, but a lot of people say after Endgame. After those two movies is when Marvel started to go downhill, and I feel like that was an era back then in between 20. I feel like late 2000s to around 2018 is when Marvel was untouchable in terms of getting damaged. They could pump out any Marvel film and it would make a ton of money. Not anymore. Captain Marvel flopped. A lot of their shows have been canceled. I think even Thor: Love and Thunder almost lost a bunch of money too, which is pretty insane for a Thor movie to lose money. That's craziness, absolute craziness. And it's because none of these movies are themselves anymore. They're all trying to be uh, entertaining for everyone. They're all trying to be the same. Everything's just vague and the same type of stuff all the time now. You can't differentiate anything anymore. It's ridiculous. Every superhero movie is the same. Uh, and like they're doing with sci-fi too, Star Wars, Star Trek, everything. Everything has the same type of jokes, the same type of characters that don't face any real consequences when they make mistakes. If they make mistakes, that is. A lot of them don't even make mistakes anymore. It's just craziness. It's utter craziness. Uh Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent. That tends to happen when I talk about movies. To be quite honest with everybody, to go back to Marvel real quick, they also like if you watch any Marvel movie now, like back in 2012 when Avengers came out, there were jokes in Avengers 2012, but they were kind of far and few between, and they didn't undercut dramatic moments like they do now. Now, almost every Marvel joke is slop. It's a pop cultural reference, a fourth wall joke, making fun of like the Marvel property itself, like not taking itself seriously, or just like bad slapstick. And it undercuts the drama of what's happening in the movie and the seriousness. Like why? Because I don't know about you out there, audience member, but I feel like if you're a fan of Marvel or any kind of superhero or sci-fi, fantasy, whatever, I feel like it's a kind of insulting when you're watching it and you actually are invested in the characters for the characters themselves to make fun of their own situation all the time. Sometimes it can work, but a lot of the times in these Marvel movies, you have characters like making fun of uh, themselves or the villains in a way that makes the villain that reduces the villain or reduces the stakes of the situation for the sake of a bad joke. And to be quite honest, it's like, buddy, I'm watching this franchise because I like the characters and I like the story. Why are you trying to make this sound like it's lame or bad? That's not fun. I don't. It's so weird to me. I don't understand why writers or executives do that. It makes no sense. Like, okay, you're gonna undercut your whole franchise that you spent billions of dollars to get the rights to and diminish it. Why? That's a terrible business move right there. Granted, I'm not a producer. Well, I'm not a Hollywood producer. I've done like short films and stuff, but I'm not a Hollywood producer, and I'm not a technically a feature writer or anything like that. But to me, that seems like bad business practice to alienate your fans and alienate the people who are supposed to bring in money to the property you spent billions of dollars on. Personally, that's all I'm gonna say. Uh, and let's move on from Marvel. I feel I've harped on them long enough. This is about comedy. I'm talking about comedy movies here, and there are a couple comedy films that I think actually do stick out. I in the last like 6 years or so. Uh, I don't think these ones came out. I don't know if these came out in theaters or not, to be honest. I think that they were too risque for the theaters. But I'll go through a couple, and then I'm gonna point out the similarities between them and why these films and shows are actually really really good for comedy. And this is the direction Hollywood needs to be going in. A movie that I remember watching that actually was good, a good comedy movie that came out recently in recent years, I should say, 5 years ago, was Bad Trip with Eric Andre and Lil Rel Howery. Sorry, his name's kind of hard to pronounce. I tried to like say his name a few times earlier to not mess it up, but sorry. Oh well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. But Bad Trip was great, and it did push the limits in comedy, unlike a lot of films that we see that try to do comedy now. Keeping in the style of Eric Andre. If you don't know who Eric Andre is, I'm sure everyone does. He's pretty famous, but his whole comedy shtick is that he does. It's like hidden camera shows. So I guess it's sort of like kind of like reality TV a little bit, except it's true reality TV where there's nothing. None of the characters except the main cast is scripted. Anywho, Bad Trip was filmed like a hidden camera show, where the two stars are constantly engaging in hijinks and hilarity that baffles and angers the audience in some case, or the public in some cases, which obviously results in funny and fun interactions, raw emotional reactions that aren't scripted, which is pretty cool, I think. And Eric Andre is a comedian who's never been one to shy away from accidentally offending anyone or making anyone mad. Like, he goes all out. He doesn't care. If you get mad at him, so, like, he doesn't care. It's whatever. That's the whole point. I mean, I don't think he goes out of his way to make people feel bad about themselves or make people angry on purpose. I'm sure he's trying to get a reaction, but it's all done in good fun. There's never really anything seriously at stake when he's doing his hidden camera stuff. But I find it endearing, and I really like the magic of the anything can happen aspect of what he does and of this movie. And that's kind of like partially why I like to do stuff on YouTube live instead of a pre-recorded edited video, because it is raw and anything can happen. I could say anything right now. I could go on tangents about anything I want to live, and you guys can interact with me, chat with me. I can bounce off of you guys in the audience who are watching, which is another reason why I've started doing a quick plug, which is another reason why I've started doing more gaming on the channels, because it is fun to interact with the chatters, the audience, and it brings a lot more fun, funny moments and interactions, and again, anything can happen, and I think that's beautiful, especially because like a lot, there's obviously when you watch enough movies, you can kind of predict the endings or the arc of your characters or whatever, and that doesn't make them bad necessarily at all. I mean, like Star Wars is a prime example. I like Star Wars personally, the originals, and I think that the plot of Star Wars is it's not rocket science. It's pretty simple, and you can kind of predict where things are going to go. But that doesn't make it bad. I just find the truly unscripted reactions and how people interact with each other on these hidden camera shows and things like that beautiful, because you can't really predict it. It's life. It's real life. It's raw, real life. Sorry, a little bit of a tangent there. But what's crazy though, I'm going to go on a quick tangent actually, real quick, another one. Because I feel like this should be considered reality TV more so than what is technically considered reality TV to most people. Like Love Island. I don't know if anyone out there has watched Love Island. I've watched 2 or 3 seasons of Love Island because a couple of my friends that I know were really big Love Island fans. They were quite into the show. But here's the thing. That show is like barely reality TV. I don't know what people are on about. It's barely reality TV. All the people that are on that show are adult pretenders. They're trying so hard to be famous, it's not even funny. Like, I remember in Survivor, the early seasons, I haven't watched a lot of Survivor, but I do remember the crackhead bus lady in like I think she was in the first episode of the first season of Survivor. She was a real person. That lady was a crackhead bus driver, crazy lady from Florida, a true Florida freak, and she was interesting to watch because she was a legit like whack job. That's the kind of reality TV that we need to bring back. I don't know if Survivor is kept in that tradition of actually having random weird people on. I hope they have. I have a buddy who's actually chatted on the show in the chat and has watched the channel. He does reality TV work, and he's a huge Survivor fan. I'll have to ask him if they have kept true to getting the randoms on there. But Love Island, like, I guess maybe that's the point of the show, is that they're trying to pick these influencer wannabe celebrities. I don't really know. I don't know if it's ridiculous though. It's not like, and I've been hooked on watching it when I've been in the room with the people that do watch it, just because it's like a mesmerizing slop. It's mesmerizing slop, Love Island. I don't even know how they do it. They must have some kind of special powers hidden in the cameras in the screen to make you watch it or something. Subliminal CIA messaging has got to be involved, because there's literally nothing not literally. There's really nothing happening more than just you're watching fake people try to be human to each other in a completely staged and fake environment. It is absolutely crazy. The men and the women on that show are so fake. You got like roided up like guys with hair plugs or whatever trying to be cool, looks waxing or whatever, trying to get their lady friend, because that's the whole point of the show. You're supposed to leave with a date and you get paid money or something like that. And then on the other hand, you got all these ladies that are so fake that when they die, you're gonna have to toss them into a recycling bin. That's how fake that they really are. It's like, what are we doing? Am I watching a reality TV show, or am I watching Barbie? I don't really know anymore. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, it's not reality TV. I think it's insulting to real reality TV to call Love Island reality TV. It's not real. Real is in reality, and that show is anything but real. Nothing about it is real. The people aren't real. They aren't really real. The people aren't real. The sets are super fake. There's not even real environments. It all feels so scripted, and everyone is like ballooned up to be like this weird doll, like sexualized doll creature. It's so crazy. Anywho, we can move on to another movie, another comedy movie that's come out in recent years that actually pushes the limits and isn't afraid to be a little politically incorrect, and that's going to be Borat 2. Borat 2, starring Sacha Baron Cohen. if you haven't seen Borat 1, check out Borat 1 because I do find Borat 1 to be the better film, to be honest. Out of the two. But in recent years, Borat 2 is certainly outclasses its peers in the comedy world, I'd say, in recent years. Sorry. Uh, it pushes the limits. It's also similar to Eric Andre and his work and Bad Trip. It's a hidden camera show. I didn't mean for that to happen, by the way. Those are the two comedy films I thought of that were really good in the last 7 years or so. Um, and they were so brave with their limit pushing that they actually caused a national, almost I would say almost international scandal with their fake interview with former New York City mayor and former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani, where he was behaving a bit scandalous in the interview. I'm not gonna play it or anything, but you guys can watch it. You guys can watch the interview. It's pretty insane what goes on there. Uh, Stuff like that though, like they're like pushing the limit so far as to like interfere with political affairs is crazy, and I commend them for that. And I think we need more, maybe not that kind of thing all the time, but we need more people who are willing to go that far in comedy to actually get a reaction, like a fun, cool reaction out of people, instead of just like slop, over censored, over dumbed down jokes and writing that we get in mainstream films. Again, I'm gonna say mainstream films because I know that there is independent stuff out there that isn't like it's not I don't even know how to describe it. Like there's a lot of independent stuff out there that just doesn't get seen that by that many people. Like my mom watches a lot of independent movies and she watches a lot of foreign films, and I don't know how she sees all this stuff. Like she gets all these foreign films and all these cool independent movies that she finds. I don't know how she finds them. It's like they're not commercial. There's no commercials or ads or anything for them, and she somehow gets them in her feed. I don't know how. And like Busboys, again, to bring it back to the main topic here, Busboys is an independent film. It's just the people who are doing it are mainstream, or I would say mainstream, and that it creates an interesting dynamic there because you have a independent film, self-funded film by mainstream individuals, and that causes a stir up in Hollywood because Hollywood doesn't like that kind of thing typically. Big studios don't like that. It's a threat to them because it sends a message that independent people and self-funded projects can possibly do well and actually better than the big studios. Anywho, that leads me, because I've talked about some hidden camera show stuff too much here, because that's not all comedy is. Comedy is more than that, and that leads me to talk to Tires on Netflix, which is a show. It's not a movie, but it's also kind of risque and raunchy. So Tires is on Netflix. It's a pretty big show now on Netflix. I think they're about to do season 3. Season 3 is about to come out. And it's by the great and one of my favorite comedians, Shane Gillis, and his friend and comedian Steven Gerbins, who's also in the show. And then it was also co-written between them and I believe producer John McKeever is his name. John McKeever, yes. And that show is incredible, and it kind of goes back to comedy from the 2000s that wasn't afraid to push the limits and be funny, actual funniness, not dumbed down funniness. So Tires features a cast of characters similar to Busboys, less exaggerated, I'd say, than Busboys. Busboys is a little bit caricaturized people, I'd say, compared to Tires. Anywho, and it's centered around a group of employees at a family-owned tire shop, Valley Forge. Will, played by Steve Gerbins, is like the straight man, trying to do the right thing, trying to do a good job running the store for his dad. He's the manager at one of the stores. And Shane Gillis, who also goes by Shane in the show, is the goofball, politically incorrect cousin of Will, who also works at the store as a maintenance kind of guy for the tire shop, and is constantly stirring up trouble. And the whole premise is that our cast, the oddballs and just regular everyday people, have to get along at work to keep the underperforming store successful, so they all can keep their jobs. And they come up with hilarious, like crazy ideas to try to earn the store. I didn't put the thing on the screen. My bad. Earn the store more money. Like Shane comes up with an idea to hire strippers to wash people's cars for if they buy tires or whatever, to try to get people in, to try to get like the men into the store to buy more tires or something like that. It's craziness. It's just one example, and they have all sorts of pretty like out there jokes, I would say. I mean, they have like Epstein jokes in the show, which is kind of crazy. Especially on Netflix, I think that's pretty wild. They have they have the Epstein jokes. They have a lot of offensive kind of jokes about sexism, racism, like all sorts of prejudice jokes. Which to back myself up here, I'm not supporting like racism, obviously, and I feel like that's obvious. I wouldn't consider myself a racist dude by any means. I just think that people miss the point of comedy like this, where they have like characters who behave racistly or are sexist, because the whole point of those characters is to make fun of those people. That's the whole point. And yes, it really does push the limits, and they say offensive things, but the whole point is so outrageous and like shocking. I guess it's a form of shock comedy mixed with some more like I don't know, strategic comedy. But the whole point is that you have these characters who behave that way, as like that. That's making fun of them. It's not making fun of the groups that they are making fun of. But I think a lot of people get that mixed up. Maybe. And not to say that there are probably some comedians out there or some people out there that make jokes like that in a bad context, in a actual racist or hurtful way. And all those people I condemn, of course. But when you're doing it in a tasteful way, where you're trying to make fun of those people, I think that's good. It's shedding light on the issue, and it's also making light of a situation to try to make fun of those people and put the racist people down, which I think is good. I think that's healthy for society, personally. And Shane Gillis is very good at it. He's super good at it. A lot of his comedy is based on that kind of humor, and I think he's really good at it. Sorry. Excuse me. And again, this is an example of like comedy, I guess, show media that doesn't hold back punches. I gave a bunch of examples already. So, and I just think that that's something that Hollywood has lost. I think Hollywood is afraid of making edgy jokes. And I don't think being edgy is necessarily bad. There's a difference between being like a cringe edge lord and having edgy jokes. You know what I mean? I don't even know like what the line is there. But being edgy in terms of making jokes that are like, oh, I don't know if you should say that or not, I think that's totally fine, because like what, are we all supposed to be boring? Are we never supposed to make mistakes? Like, people can make mistakes in life. Hollywood is afraid to, though. They're terrified of making mistakes because they care too much about their precious money to make any mistakes. Even though, maybe if you try something new, you'll actually make more money than you thought you would doing the same old boring slop. And this is my theory, part of my theory about why comedians are actually going to be the driving force, not only behind comedy films, but behind entertainment in the future. And this is, I'm gonna lay out my theory as to why. So, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, Hollywood is big on, and in studios, I guess I should say executives in studios in Hollywood are big on finding key demographics, big ol' fat, juicy, tasty demographics for them to feast on their products, because they see movies as probably explicitly products, a lot of them. And that's their big thing. We need as many eyes on as many products as we have so we can generate the most amount of money, right? Which, sure, okay, that's fine, but you've kind of lost the whole point of being a successful business if you're trying to please everyone. You can't. Does every restaurant sell everything to try to please everyone? No, because that's stupid. Why would you do that? The same thing goes for a lot of different industries, especially film. Not every film is going to be everyone's favorite film, and that's fine. Like, but I think Hollywood is like allergic to that idea. They can't seem to fathom that. So I think stand-up comedians understand this more than the average Hollywood executive or actor, even writer. A lot of the time, because stand-up comedians they come under fire far more than Hollywood executives, unless you're Harvey Weinstein, and actors, unless you're that guy who is eating people. uh, and why? Because the barrier between a stand-up comedian and their audience is almost zero, unless you're like in the upper echelons. Whoa, sorry. Because the barrier between holy, I'm losing my mind. Sorry, I've been going on too many tangents here. Let me restart that. Uh, the whole reason that comedians have the upper hand when it comes to understanding their audiences better is because the barrier between the audience and the comedian is really slim compared to Hollywood. There aren't always screenings of jokes or material. I mean, some places do, like when Shane Gillis hosted I think it's the ESPYs, they had jokes for him to say, and he kind of did his own thing and even called out that they were screened, to try to get around like the censorship, which I think is pretty cool. And a lot of comedians do that, and it ends up doing pretty well for them. But Hollywood is another story, because Hollywood actors and adult pretenders are PR trained. Usually, they have agents and lawyers telling them what to do and what they can and can't say. They have studio executives and the studios themselves breathing down their necks, making sure they don't mess up saying this or that. And sometimes that's warranted. There have been some cases in recent years, and very recently, if you think to a certain actress who was involved with a certain Snow White movie, she was saying some things, political things that Disney didn't like, and to an extent I can get that, because if it hurts the brand, I get it. But some of these actors are super constrained what they can and can't say, and that kind of just removes the humanity from them and the whole reason that we like them to begin with. And a lot of stand-ups just don't have to worry about this. And as good as that is, it can also be a double-edged sword, because less restrictions means more creativity, but it also means that they come under fire far more often than they might want to. And all this is to say that stand-up comedians, they know, if anything, they know how to, if you're a good comedian, you know how to handle audience rejection, I'd say. Oh, hello, Nicole. What's up? If you're just tuning in, also, this is my media analysis portion of my channel that I do. I do try to do it once every weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And there will be gaming after this stream at around 8 p.m. So be sure to stick around. If you came here for the games, that will be happening around 8 p.m. So feel free to stay if you want to hear me talk about film. And if you don't, come back at 8 p.m. and we'll be back with some Five Nights at Freddy's action tonight. But yes, this is the film portion of my channel. But back to what I was saying, and thank you for popping in, Nicole. I appreciate it. A regular now, I'd say. Back to what I was saying. Comedians, if anything, if you're a good comedian, you know how to handle rejection, especially like major audience rejection. And that's what makes them so good at adapting to audiences and adapting their material, and realizing which audiences are their audience, and then they can write even better material for that audience. And I just think Hollywood has lost that ability because they're so afraid to make mistakes that they are not learning anymore. They're trying to follow the formula so hard that they simply are not learning how to adapt with the times and adapt to audiences and what audiences really want. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to make material. If you're a writer and if you're creative, you want to make material for you, but you also want to make material that people want to watch. Otherwise, you're not going to get funding and you're not going to get seen or recognized, and you kind of need that momentum to be successful. That's just how the world works. Going to go eat. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I shall be here for a bit more. Sorry. This also means that comedians don't have to worry about who will be offended by what or if this or that is okay to say. They care about writing material for their people. That's why so many stand-up comedian-driven shows and specials perform so well, I think, because they know how to capture and capitalize on their audiences, and they aren't worried about anything else, and that's the biggest thing. It's a beautiful thing, and I wish more people across the board behaved that way, to be honest, because look, I think comedians, and I love stand-up comics. I watch uh, Sal Volcano, not just from Impractical Jokers. I watched him and Joe DeRosa, their podcast, Taste Buds, which unfortunately is off air for now, but I love that show. It's so good. I watched them. I watched Theo Vaughn's podcast. I watched a little bit of Joe Rogan, not too much. I watched the Kill Tony podcast, which is great for stand-up comics and upcoming stand-up comedians. It is like the show for them. And, a lot of people have this or that to say about Tony Hinchcliffe, but you cannot deny that his show, Kill Tony, is like it's the greatest thing for stand-up comedians. It's launched people's careers. It's fair playing playing field for everyone, no matter what race or gender or whatever sexuality, anything you are. You have a clean shot at becoming either a failed bad comedian or the next big star, which is what Tony usually says. It's huge. It's great, and it brings people together. Nothing is out of bounds, really. I mean, obviously there's a limit somewhere, but nothing really is out of bounds. And it's just you can learn so much about people through that show and how to be funny, even if you're not. It's just great. It's a great show, and I think a lot of people see clips online and they're like, "Oh, this is just big names roasting or making fun of little people like that aren't known." And it's like, okay, part of that is true, but it's also about like that's life. People are going to make fun of you. People are going to, try to shoot you down, to drag you down. But if you come back, because you can sign up for the show multiple times to come back to do another minute of stand up, you can come back and make a name for yourself and become huge. That's the whole point. It's great, and I think we need more of that attitude when it comes to movies, just life in general. But yeah, I think stand-up comics are not just a driving force in comedy, but they actually know how to like read people and they know how to write what things that people want, or maybe not even know that they want, because it's not like because Hollywood tries to write what they think people want, but they don't do it correctly because they're still stuck trying to like virtue signal all the time in a bad way. Not to like again, I've said this on other episodes. I don't think all kinds of virtue signaling are bad. I think that Hollywood just does it in a pandering, overt way that bothers people. Doesn't mean I disagree with necessarily all the messaging or anything like that. I just think that it's executed poorly. Anywho, I think stand-up comics could do a whole restart on comedy, the comedy movies, and Hollywood in general because they understand how to write good content for people. And they're not afraid to adapt, and they're not afraid to fail, and they know that failing will actually make them stronger. And, I've bashed the studios a lot this episode, and I've bashed the studios and lots of other streams I've done. But I will give one studio an ounce of credit here for actually trying to try something new and be risky and actually be successful from it. Netflix hosted the Roast of Tom Brady in May of 2024, which performed extraordinarily well with over 1.67 billion minutes watched in the first couple weeks or week or so, which was, I think it was the first week, which is about 27.8 million watch hours, which is pretty insane. And it beat Netflix's top movie of the entire year, Damsel, starring Millie Bobby Brown, which had about 1.2 billion minutes watched in the first few days. So I think that's pretty remarkable that a comedy special with mainly stand-up comedians and there's some actors like Kevin Hart, but mainly stand-up comedians and like a couple random celebrities. And I guess you got Tom Brady, who is pretty famous. But like that, comedy isn't for everyone. A lot of people I know don't watch stand-up comedians or anything like that. So for a show like that to outperform a blockbuster movie with Millie Bobby Brown, who at the time especially was a massive star and became a huge star after Stranger Things, is pretty insane. It's one of Netflix's, I think it is Netflix's highest rated special. And they also did it live, which was a huge deal because I don't think they had done that before. So it was live on Netflix, which is pretty wild. And they're actually going to be doing the roast of Kevin Hart this May, I believe, with Shane Gillis as the host, which is going to be beautiful. I'm so excited to see that. But I guess to bring it all full circle, I'm extremely happy to see comedians take back the reins of comedy films and even doing their own self-funded independent projects. I mean, even Shane Gillis' show Tires, yes, it's by Netflix, but he has a lot of creative control over the show. It is mainly his show, and he's a comedian, and it's written by comedians. It stars a lot of stand-up comedians, and it's a great show, and people find it really funny. And what's funny is a lot of people that don't think it's very good are the certified critics, on Rotten Tomatoes and on Metacritic and all that. They don't find it super, super funny. I wonder why. Probably because you're paid off by Hollywood. That's probably why. Because I'd never consider myself, I'm a hoity-toity art critic because I wear a tie and a suit when I talk about things. I do that because I like to have some colorful flair in suits. I don't do it because I'm pretentious. I hope I don't come across as pretentious. And if I do, slap me silly. Slap me silly. That's not the point of the show. I just I think that I like what I have to say, obviously, because I wouldn't be saying it. And if you disagree, feel free to disagree with me. I mean, I've had a few of my shorts where I clip parts of the show get ratioed, which is totally fine. And if you disagree, just come at me with some good arguments. That's the thing. A lot of people get so offended when they see something online that disagrees with them, and instead of just trying to ask questions or propose an argument, which some people do, and I actually respond and I'm appreciative of that. But they'll try to come at me being oh, learn how to tie a tie better, or what else? That's one I've gotten, calling me racist, which is whoa. Someone said that I was racist for saying that if you think a film is an artsy fartsy film is bad, that it might actually be bad, not that you don't get it. They said that was racist behavior, bigoted behavior. I'm like, what? No. I'm just saying, if a movie seems bad to you and it's one of those artsy movies where you might not easily be able to tell if it's good or bad, in that it's trying to make you feel like it's a deep, deep film, it probably is bad. Because it's tricking you. Anyways, you can watch that stream, but people get crazy on here. People get crazy. I find it funny. It doesn't really bother me that much. Sometimes if I'm having a bad day, it's okay. I didn't want to hear that today. But at the end of the day, it's pretty funny, I think. And I guess to bring it back to Busboys, Busboys is it's kind of the epitome of all these things that we just talked about. It's a stand-up comedian driven movie. It's self-funded, not with any big studio backing. Theo Von even actually said when he was interviewed by Joe Rogan about the film that a bunch of like streamers. I think he meant like Netflix, maybe Netflix. I don't know if he meant Netflix. He said streamers. I don't know what he meant by that exactly. I'm assuming he meant like HBO or things like that. He said that they didn't want the movie because it was too edgy or too, you can't say this or that. So he said, screw them. We'll do it ourselves, which is great. It's beautiful mentality to have against these giant good for nothing studios nowadays. I mean, like I said, Netflix is a little bit of an exception. They're willing to take some risks, which I'm a fan of, but a lot of them just aren't, unfortunately. It's a bummer. It's truly a bummer. So yeah, self-funded stand-up comedian driven, self-funded, low budget, which is also beautiful because you're gonna have a higher margin for success that way. Typically, if it does well, and it's willing to take risks, which maybe it'll be bad. If it's bad, I'll say it's bad. I'm not afraid to be like, okay, yeah, it's bad. But I'm just excited that we're finally getting something that is not afraid to be bad instead of trying so hard to check every box and be perfect that it actually is just boring and lame and no one cares about it or will remember it later. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I think to end out this episode, because it's kind of a short. Oh, it's only been 45 minutes. It's felt like it's been longer, to be quite honest. I thought it was a little longer. But I do want to look at some comments, actually, under the trailers, because I find this kind of interesting. Let me see here. So, when I was doing research, I watched the trailer a couple times. Obviously, because there's nothing else about the film out, so that's all I really had from the film itself to watch. And I was curious what the comments would say about it. And I wanted to look, because Theo Vaughn released, one of the writers and one of the major stars in the movie released a trailer on his channel where he does his podcast and everything. And then a couple other, like, film related big channels release trailers, and I was like, maybe the comments will be, more biased or less biased depending on, who put the trailer out. So I want to take a look. It was kind of interesting the other day what I saw. So we'll see if it's the same here. So this is the Theo Vaughn released trailer here. Let's look at the comments. So, does this look good? No. Will I watch it anyway? Yes. So that Rotten Tomatoes critic score 5%, audience score 95%. I'll support Theo through anything, so that's a very biased, clearly. This hits me in the 90s, early to 2010s comedy vibes. Bring back this comedy. Nate Diaz at the end, perfect. Theo needs to make a movie. Okay, that's more about Theo there. Theo saying this isn't gonna be the best movie, it'll be okay, is so Theo. Yeah, that is another thing he said, which I really like. He's self-aware, like okay, like he knows that the film might be bad. He doesn't care. The whole point is that we're doing it anyways, and we're gonna try it, which I love. That's great. We need more of that in Hollywood. Another David Spade comedy, sign me up. Theo Vaughn as well. LOL, gonna be a good one. Theo Vaughn and David Spade, take my money now, sir. This feels like such a return to old school comedy. I'm here for it. If you're 35 to 50, this is right up your alley. Old school vibes and nostalgia. This will be the first movie I see in theaters in a decade just to support the Rat King. So that's obviously a bit biased. Let's see what else. You had me at David Spade and Theo Vaughn. Anything Theo is involved in, I'm watching. Let's see. Some of the comments that I saw last week are not here anymore. Interesting. Let me see if I can find I took screenshots and I couldn't find the images to put up on screen. Anyways, so yeah, a lot of these, as you can see, they're pretty biased towards Theo. But some of them are just saying, oh, early 2000s, nostalgia, 90s type comedy, sign me up. Like, I haven't been to a theater in like a decade. I'll go for this. That's pretty huge, I think, because I'm sure a lot of Theo's audience are in their 30s. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a freak for being for watching all these stand-up comics because I went to a comedy show. Quick little side story. I went to Killers of Kill Tony, which is like a branch off of the Kill Tony show, where his golden ticket winners, like the good comics that come on the show, they go on tour, right? And so I live in Salt Lake City, so I wanted to go see Killers of Kill Tony here in Salt Lake City, and I went, and I think I was the youngest person there. Everyone in my area was like in their 30s. I didn't, maybe there might have been a couple 20 something year olds, but I think I might have been one of the youngest people in the audience. So maybe I'm a freak. I don't know. It was 2,500 people, and I don't know. Maybe I'm a freak. But yeah, I wanted to see it, to see the comments, to see what they said. And so obviously these are they're pretty pro Theo here. So let's take a look at the trailer released by KinoCheck.com, which I don't know what KinoCheck is, but it's something to do with movies. They have 4.95 million subs, so they actually have more subscribers than Theo Vaughn, technically. Barely, just barely, and within the hundreds of thousands. So let's see these comments. This is going to get panned by critics, and every teenager who gets high in the next 20 years will watch it on repeat. Pretty pro movie right there. Joe Dirt 3. Nate Diaz just being himself. Finally, some David Spade. Bobby. Oh, that's a reference. A 50 milligram edible couldn't butter this piece of toast. Oh, that's okay. That's negative right there. This one has a real chance to do a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Also, by the way, I don't care if anyone out there gets mad at me for saying this. If you take Rotten Tomatoes scores seriously, you're ridiculous, and you got to find a new way to write your movies, because Rotten Tomatoes is rigged. Rotten Tomatoes is rigged, and I'll tell you why it's rigged. First off, a lot of the certified Rotten Tomato critics are just random everyday people, half of them, and the other half are people who are paid by the studios, which has been proven. Disney paid. There's articles about it. Disney was paying people on Rotten Tomatoes to give certain ratings and reviews to some of their properties. Rigged. That's rigged. Rigged fraud behavior right there, Disney. By the way, I don't care. It's rigged. You shouldn't be doing that. And then another reason that it's messed up is because, like, the rating system makes no sense. So this is how they do it. So when a film says, like, oh, it's fresh or whatever, let's say a film has 90% score, that doesn't mean, like, what it means is, if it says 90, let's say, like, whatever movie is 90%, that means that like a higher percentage of the reviews were above a 60%. Does that make sense for something to be fresh? So, like, it's not like a poll. It's like a percentage of I don't know how to explain it properly. Let's pull it up. Let's look it up, actually, so I can actually explain it properly. How does Rotten Tomatoes work? Oh, what happened there? Oh, my Lord. Why? What are we doing? Let's go. Excuse me? Can I go? What the hell? What are we doing here? I hate when they do that. Can I just use my Google thing, please? Yes, a review aggregation website that compiles opinions from professional critics to determine if a film or show is fresh, positive, or rotten. It does not average ratings, but rather calculates the percentage of critics. That's what it is. It calculates the percentage of critics who give the movie a positive review, producing a score from 0 to 100%. So it's not polled. It's not like, oh, 100,000 people said it was an 8 out of 10, and like 30,000 people said it was a 5 out of 10. It's literally aggregating percentages of critics who gave it more. So, like, if a movie says, let's rewind a bit back to what I was saying. So if a movie, also I'll take this off. So, like, if a movie says 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, that just means that a high percentage, That means 90% of critics gave it something above a 60%, right? Which is stupid. What kind of like what? How? What is that? So you're telling so if I want to watch also Joker got a like the Joker movie 2019 with Joaquin Phoenix got a lower score than Indiana Jones the Dial of Destiny, which was a god awful terrible film. Like what are we doing? It's fake. It's rigged. It's totally rigged. Don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Half the critics are trying to be like pretentious and they're paid off, and then like the scores don't even make sense. You're telling me that if to figure out if a film is good, you're gonna aggregate whether or not X amount of people gave it higher than a 60%, and a 60% is bad in my book. I think a 6 is pretty bad. Like a good is like 8 or 9, and I only give things. Most movies that come out lately, I give like a 1 or a 2. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too mean. But let's go back to these other comments here. Sorry about that. I just had to go off on a tangent. I hate Rotten Tomatoes, and I hate when people I'll say mention a movie, or someone will mention a movie, and there's always one guy or gal out there that goes, it has a 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't care about the Rotten Tomatoes score. It's fake. You're going to base whether or not you're going to watch a movie off of the Rotten Tomatoes score? Who are you? Do you think for yourself? What are you doing? There's always one person that says it. I'm like, I don't care about the score, buddy. The score is fake. God. Sorry. Let's continue here. This looks terrible. I'm definitely going to watch it. So that's probably just ironic. Ready for this? Love that they made it themselves. Exactly. Looks like they had a budget of 2 bananas. Sure. That doesn't mean it's bad, though. I'll be watching just for Chris Elliott. I'm going to see it. Going to be a cult classic. You watch. This one is going to be good. These guys made it themselves. No corporate notes and ideas. Facts. Let's see the replies on this. LOL. I got a feeling it's not gonna well. Okay, well, you can't even spell, buddy. Don't be a negative Nancy. Turn that frown upside down and watch a cloud. Let's see. The trailer isn't very good. I disagree personally. I think the trailer's pretty good. That's personal preference. The greatest movie since The Godfather. Can't wait for this. Let's see. Oh, of course. They saved funny scenes for movie. I don't know if that's ironic or not. I honestly can't tell. Looks chronic? What does that mean? Let's see. Oh, this looks interesting. Apparently, and this what's crazy is that these are almost like more insightful comments than the Theo Von stuff. And they're pro this movie too. Apparently, there's some crazy stuff in this movie. Super rated R movie. I live in LA, and my buddy got to see a screening and said it was hilarious. He said the trailer doesn't do it justice because they probably didn't want to give away the jokes. That's huge, actually. That's a good point. He thinks word of mouth will hype this movie up when people see it. He got me excited to see now. Beautiful. What's this reply? Hell yeah, this is what I'm hoping. The worst is a hilarious trailer. Then you see the movie and you realize they used all the jokes in the trailer. That's a good point. A lot of bad comedy films do that. They put their best jokes in the trailer, and it totally ruins everything. There were some like chuckles that the trailer got out of me, but I could definitely tell that they were holding back because they have a stacked cast of comedians. They have Theo Von, David Spade, Tim Dillon, who is a genius, Bobby Lee, who is hilarious, and then they got like a bunch of other, I can't think of their names, but a bunch of other big comedians. This actually looks pretty good. This looks like one of the movies that... What? Some of these comments are kind of insane. I don't know what this means. Did you have a stroke in the middle of typing the sentence? Do a Spade Dillon movie next. That would be beautiful. This looks so bad, but I'm going to see it in theaters just because I love Theo and Spade, and I knew they worked really hard on it. I'm pretty sure they wrote and produced it as well. See, that's like... A lot of people are saying it looks bad, but they're going to see it anyways because it was all that. Like, that's fine, but I wonder if they really mean bad or they just mean like... Because some people... I think when they look at comedies that are raunchy like this, they mean, oh, that looks bad, like as in, oh, that just looks like poor taste comedy, which I don't think it's poor taste. Can't wait not to see this. ... Ooh, someone's mad. Is it hard to get a job as a waiter? Yes, I need this in my life. Okay, we don't have to keep looking at it, but I thought the comments were pretty interesting, and it seemed like there were a lot of comments in there. If you keep looking, I mean, we ran across a couple, but there were a lot of comments where people are saying that they're happy that it's not a studio garbage schlock fest, and that they're happy that it was self-funded and low budget, which is pretty big. I think it's important that when you see normies, and I mean that in a nice way, normies, as in like not a cinephile, hoity-toity, we gotta watch The Godfather, you gotta watch this and that. When actual regular, normal, everyday people who have normal, regular and good, that I mean that in a good way, like actual people are saying we want to see stuff that isn't studio funded or studio interfered. I think that's huge, because I feel like 5 years ago or so, a lot of people weren't saying that kind of thing. They didn't really. I feel like a lot of people weren't wise to it, and that's just because not a lot of people are huge into movies, which is fine. People have lives. People have better things to worry about than movies. I just happen to like movies a little bit more than other people, and I guess if you're watching this, you probably do too. But yeah, I'm excited for the film. I think it has a lot of potential, and I'm definitely going to be seeing it, hopefully on opening day, April 17th. I don't remember what. It's probably a Friday or Saturday or something. I hope I'm going to see it right when it comes out, and then you will know my thoughts on it the week later, probably. I hope it's good. Damn, we're only at an hour. That's short for Ekasala Unfiltered, but I really don't have much else to say. Other than I'm excited for the movie, and I think this could be might be a turning point, at least in the comedy film world, and maybe Hollywood in general, where people will take more risks and things will be more entertaining and cool. Make movies cool, please, and good. Anywho, I guess that's going to be it for this episode of Ekasala Unfiltered movie analysis. I'm going to have to come up with a secondary name since I've been doing more gaming. But if you're watching right now and you came for games or you're waiting for games, come back at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to continue playing Five Nights at Freddy's. We'll be playing night 6 and 7. I cannot believe that, by the way. That's ridiculous that it's called that. We're going to be playing night 6 and 7, and maybe the second Five Nights at Freddy's, or maybe we'll bounce to another game. Who knows what could happen? Probably stick with Five Nights at Freddy's, though. So if you're watching, make sure to tune into that at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Other than that, that's going to be it for Ekasala Unfiltered today. I know it was a short one. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm going to hear it later. People always say, oh, it was so short. It's like, buddy, people will say, before I end, people will say, like 4 hours is too short or 3 hours is too short. I'm like, buddy, just because I did a couple eight hour streams doesn't mean I can't have a couple 1 hour ones when it comes to movies. But I do tend to run long when it comes to these streams. So stick around. Anywho, that's it for Ekasala Unfiltered. I've been your host, Zach Ekasala, and I will see you next week for more movie analysis. And if you're gonna watch the games, I'll see you a few times this week. Have a fantastic rest of your night, and I might see you later.